What's going on, Jerome's? Your Minnesota Vikings are mercifully just a couple weeks away from the NFL draft, but most of free agency is in the books, and we have some thoughts. We have some thoughts about some things on Tell the Truth Thursday, because Thursday is when you tell the truth about things. So we got 10 truths about the Vikings offseason thus far. Number one, this is the most transformative offseason in franchise history. And I feel like people don't really grasp what's exactly going on. I mean, the Vikings turned the page, Bob Seger style, on Kirk Cousins, on Danielle Hunter, and they really are going all in on the vision that Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell have. Also Brian Flores, too, because there isn't a single offseason other than, 1961, where the Vikings have changed their team so dramatically. And yes, 1961 was the inaugural year. By the way, they drafted a fullback at number 1 overall. Tarkenton was a third-round pick, by the way. But also, there's 14 teams in the league, so he's number 29 overall, which is kind of funny. But the Vikings, so it's been a multi-year transition for Kwesi. Now, Kwesi, given his druthers, probably would have just tore this thing down, had a bottoming out season, and then rebuilt from there. But the Wilfs, they ain't going to allow that. And that's their prerogative, because they want to win games. They want to keep butts in seats. They want to keep fan interest. And also, I know that some fans would love to see the team tank, but I feel like the large majority of the fans wouldn't see it that way. They just see a bad team. Right? You could say it's not seeing the forest through the trees, but also, you can't really tell another fan how to be a fan. But I think what it is that the Vikings did have that competitive rebuild, and I know that that's turned into like a curse word around here, but 13-4 won the division in 2022. They would have had a great season. Despite the 0-3, 1-4 start, they were turning things around before Kurt popped his Achilles. So, yeah, I think that you look at the veteran contracts that were shed. You look at the new free agents that were brought in. You look at the cap crunch that the Vikings and Kwesi cleaned up. And now you look at the Vikings set up to draft their future franchise quarterback and have an amazing young team around him, and hopefully extend Justin Jefferson. It's kind of big, and it's okay to be hopeful and be very excited about things. And also, looking at the Texans, they turned things around in a year, basically. And yes, getting a quarterback is one of the most easiest things to do there, especially when he's on his rookie deal, sure. But why can't the Vikings do that? And the Vikings, if you take away the quarterback position, which is hard, I know, the Vikings are more talented than the Texans. Well, maybe if you take away Will Anderson, too. I don't know, man. But the Vikings, even though they're in a tough division and the tougher conference, I think they certainly could do something similar. Next up, number 2, the Vikings were right to let Kurt go. So Kurt left, went back home. It kind of feels like Julie made this decision. I don't know, man. But I respect what Kwesi did. Said that, hey, we would like you back. We don't need you back. All right, but if you're going to be back, you're going to be on our terms. So he now becomes the Tin Pot Waffle House dictator. So ye gone. But Kurt, it was the right decision for the Vikings. And it felt like Kurt was a major part of the competitive rebuild, where you stayed afloat, and Kurt and Kevin O'Connell did great work together. And Kurt was playing some of the best ball of his career over the last 2 years, and he was a major reason why the Vikings were competitive during this rebuild, as Kwesi was jettisoning a lot of Spielman veterans. And yes, 2022 draft aside, is restocking the roster with his guys. All right, so the Vikings are right. And even though they have to eat $28.5 million dead against the cap this year, they got $50 million in dead cap liabilities because of Danielle and Davenport. They can take that on the chin because Kwesi budgeted for it. And the Vikings were still able to be players in free agency, and they still have a couple of shekels left over this year. They have $100+ million in 2025. So the time was right. And I feel like, Kurt, he got the bag. God bless him. Best of luck to you, except for when we play, when you come up here and play at US Bank Stadium. But yeah, the time was right, especially given the quarterback class, especially given Sam Darnold. You're good to go. Next up, the Vikings will land their quarterback 1. So whoever it is, whether it's Daniels or May or McCarthy or Penix or Nix or Rattler or Pratt or whoever, right? The Vikings and Kwesi, again, respect here. They have situated themselves very nicely to be able to strike and move up to the stratosphere if they want to. All right, now we sort of go back and forth because we see the merit in sticking and picking and taking 2 blue chip guys in the first round, maybe a quarterback, or you go all in Do you gamble for the first time in your life? Go ahead. I don't know, man. But there's lots of options there. But either way, the Vikings, in what is seen as one of the deepest quarterback classes in NFL history, to go find their guy. And also, they do have the infrastructure to allow him to sit and develop. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks come into the league, they get shelled as rookies, and they're never the same. They're just broken. Their body, their confidence, everything. And now, and the Vikings have been touted as the best landing spot for a rookie quarterback in NFL history, and I buy that. Given everything that is in place. But especially if the player needs some things to work on, like McCarthy, like May and his footwork, like Daniels, etc. Like having them sit and marinate a little bit just makes for a better product at the end, right? And also, they can sit because Sam Darnold has a chance to be good here, man. And the whole thing is like Sam Darnold's heading into year 7. He's only going to be 27 years young. And I think that he has a good shot to win Comeback Player of the Year. Because, again, for all the reasons why this is good for a rookie, this is good for Sam Darnold. Because you have 2 great tackles. Hopefully they can suture up the interior offensive line. JJ, Addison, Hawkinson when he gets back. O'Connell, McCown, indoors, stable ownership, good defense, partridge in a pear tree. And Sam Darnold could sling it, man. But the problem with him is that he slings it too much. So he's got big-time arm strength. He can be accurate over the middle. He can conform to in structure or out of structure. But the problem is, like, I feel like he felt he had to play too much hero ball with the Jets, and that led to bad habits. And also, it led to whatever with Carolina. But I do think that his year of coaching with Shanahan last year and seeing how Purdy operated within the framework of the offense, I think that could pay dividends here in a very similar style offense. One that's a little bit more attacking downfield. But I mean, Darnold, unless Joe Flacco comes back again, who knows? Or, I mean, Darnold could be in that spot too. It's like, what's worse than DeMar Hamlin dying and then coming back playing for the Jets? That's what happened with Sam Darnold. So who knows, man? But I do think that Darnold is in a fantastic situation. Plus, it's in a spot where there's no pressure. Like, he's not seen as the Messiah as he was with the Jets. Same thing with the rookie. He's not seen as a savior right away. So it's perfect for the Vikings. Next up, number 5. The Vikes were right to let Daniil go. Now, this one hurts because I was on team pay Daniil all along, but Daniil is going to be 30 in October, and Daniil, he's great. He's one of the best edge rushers in the game, a career-high 16.5 sacks last year, does the dirty work, plays the run. Not every single edge rusher can say that. But he gets to go home to Houston, where he's a better scheme fit, and I think that he and the Texans are going to do good things. And we'll see him and Diggs and Case Keenum at U.S. Bank Stadium again. Again, I'm not saying that the league is scripted, but all these homecoming games, come on, man. And the Vikings, they do get a younger piece in Jonathan Grenard. Basically, they get Grenard and Van Ginkel at the same price as Daniil got from the Texans. But, I mean, the Texans are in a spot where they could afford him. And the Vikings could have afforded Daniil too, but would that have meshed with the motif of the Vikings, where they're assembling young guys or they're getting veterans to take steep pay cuts like Harrison Smith? And again, I mean, the Daniil thing could be like Kurt, where both sides win. And I think that Grenard and Van Ginkel and Jihad Ward will do great things on the edge. And the Vikings still could draft an edge too. So it could be a spot where it works out for everyone. Next up, number 6, Flores is putting a stamp on the defense. So now that it seems like Flores could be here long term, I think that he is going to say F the league, and I'm going to build the best defense in the National Football League. So he's getting his guys, his personnel in. Remember, what he did last year was largely the same personnel as 2022. And now, I mean, just they completely remade that second level of defense. And that doesn't get talked about enough with Grenard, Cashman outside. How about that? Pace Jr. and Van Ginkel. I can't wait to see how Flores mixes things up. And also, you saw last year with the Niners and the Ravens and the Chiefs, like the value of the off-ball linebacker has gone up, up, up. Plus, I feel like with Cashman being a patroller of the middle, being a Scott Studwell adjacent type middle linebacker, where he's going to do all the dirty work, it's really going to free up Ivan Pace Jr. to do amazing things. Like, I think we're just scratching the surface on what number 0, as soon as he changes number, is capable of as a pass rusher. Like, this is going to be a disgustingly good linebacking core, and I love it. I love, yeah, they still need some bodies ahead of them in defensive line, but they'll take care of that eventually as well. Right? And so much potential. Absolutely so much potential there. Next up, number 7. Aaron Jones is a huge signing. He is. And yes, I mean, his last 5 games were 100-yard games, 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys in the playoffs. But the thing that Jones brings the most, beyond running, beyond receiving, pass protection. So Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison each allowed 4 sacks in pass protection last year. Aaron Jones has allowed 4 total throughout his 7-year career. Now, there's a lot of factors that go in there. Quality of offensive line play, quarterback elusiveness or pocket awareness, blah, 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 blah. But Aaron Jones, he's a very good pass protector. And the whole thing about it is, too, it's not just skill. Like, every single running back that comes in the league has the skill to be able to block a defender one-on-one, for the most part, right? But it's about being in the right place. It's about communicating and watching film and knowing tendencies and guessing. Well, maybe educated guessing of where pressure is going to be, as well as how your teammates are going to react. So now that does take a little bit of time, but I think Aaron Jones is such a pro's pro that he'll be fine with this offensive line. So that's the thing about it too, is that I felt like a lot of the pressures last year that the running backs allowed were either miscommunications, misdiagnoses. It's not skill. Like, these guys can get in the way of a defender. But also you do have to factor in maybe quarterback play wasn't great towards the second half of last year. Who knows? But Aaron Jones is an absolute monster signing. Plus, the way that I judge free agent signings is how pissed off the previous fan base was to lose the player. So the Packers fans are irate about losing Aaron Jones. Dolphins fans are really pissed off about losing Van Ginkel. So we'll take him, man. We'll take, even though Van Ginkel's a stupid Badger. Next up, number 8. Josh McCown is a game changer. Now, I understand that McCown was QB coach last year with Bryce Young, but he didn't want Bryce Young. He wanted CJ Stroud. And, I mean, McCown is widely seen as a quarterback whisperer, a future head coach in the making, and also his connections with Drake May go way back, like chiropractic. But I do think that Josh McCown is a fantastic hire. I would wager a significant amount of money that Wes Phillips will not be the OC of the Vikings in 2025, and either it'll be McCown or McCardle. And I think that it's great that Kevin O'Connell. So there's some coaches out there that are so insecure that they don't want a staff full of future head coaches. Like, they don't want the strong personalities. They don't want strong leaders. They want toadies. They want yes men on their staffs. And you kind of see it throughout the league. There's one very notable coach that I'm thinking of, and you're thinking about him right now too. But Kevin O'Connell, you have to respect the way that he's assembled the staff. I mean, Brian Flores should be a head coach, but of course, all the circumstances around him, he's not. So Kevin O'Connell having the huevos to bring aboard Flores, it's beautiful. Same thing with Josh McCown. I mean, there's talk about the Texans just hiring Josh McCown as their head coach a couple years ago without him ever being a position coach in this league. That's how highly regarded he is. But Kevin O'Connell bringing him aboard and not seeing him as a threat, it's great. And I think that McCown's going to do great work with Darnold, as well as whatever quarterback TBD, Jaron Hall as well, plus Nick Mullins. I think he'll be good. Next up, number 9, Jefferson will extend before the season. So I do have faith, and I think that a couple reasons why JJ hasn't got things done yet. It's not about the money. I mean, Kwesi's talked about it. The money is there. Like, if the Vikings were being short shrift with JJ, we would have heard about it through the media. If JJ was demanding $50-60 million a year, we also would have heard that through the media. So it's not about the money. It's about the timing. And JJ, I'm sure he wants to get a little peek at who the quarterback is going to be throwing him the rock over the next couple of years, whether it's Darnold, whether it's rookie quarterback TBD. I don't think that's such a deal breaker as it's portrayed in the media. He just wants to know, right? But also, part and parcel of that is the timing of the extension. So CD is looking to get paid. Jamar Chase is looking to get paid. Amon St. Brown is eligible for a contract extension. So, I mean, it is always a game of leapfrog with these guys. Now, I think that JJ will get more money than all of them. Maybe not CD, just because of Dallas. Maybe not Jamar Chase, but I think that JJ. So the numbers are going to be staggering. Like, I think $30 million a year is going to be blown out of the water because of the sharp increase in the cap this year. I think that it will be 35, 36, 37 million a year. And before people get sticker shock, that's the cost of doing business right now. It is. And the Vikings, they have the cap space to do it. It won't impact things. They can front load his deal in 2025, and they can really weather the storm, especially if and when the rookie quarterback is on his rookie deal. So, I mean, everything's going to be fine. Every little thing is going to be all right. And don't buy all the hype and the BS. Oh, JJ wants a trade. Oh, JJ's looking at this. Oh, they should trade Jefferson because look at Tyreek Hill. No, shut up. Jefferson is going to make whoever's under center better. And Jefferson is going to make Addison and Hockenson better. And don't kid yourself that the Vikings offense would be worse if – hold on. Don't kid yourself and say the offense will be better without Justin Jefferson. I mean, yeah, you can maybe get three ones for him, but also it takes a team to pay that. Lastly, number 10. Ooh, where'd we go? Kwesi's done a good job. Now, I know that the haters will be in shambles, but now you're starting to see the vision. And you could say whatever you want at a press conference, but you have to be able to see it. And the way that the Vikings have cycled through some of the veterans, the way that the Vikings, yes, have let go of guys sometimes a year too early, but you want to do that versus a year too late. The way that he handled the negotiations and the compromises over the last 3 off seasons, the way that they navigated the waters with Kirk Cousins. And yeah, it does suck that they both left without compensation, and you're waiting on maybe a comp pick in 2025, sure. But it was time to turn the page. The Vikings have the cap space. The Vikings have the draft ammo. And the Vikings will be able to land their quarterback 1. I love Sam Darnold as a bridge quarterback, and I think that they've made several smart defensive moves in free agency. And I do think that the Vikings have one of the best young, dangerous teams in the league. And that is a big credit to Kwesi adofo-mensah. Again, you can can hate Kwesi all you want. Oh, but what about Lewis Cine? What about him? Okay. You don't bat 1,000. That's fine. But looking at this Vikings rooster right now, you can't tell me that this won't be one of the most entertaining and most effective and most dangerous offenses in the league. And defensively, a second year with Brian Flores, maybe multiple years with Brian Flores, an attacking, aggressive defense that hopefully doesn't have to blitz as much as last year, and they're able to get pressure with 4. Baby, the sky is truly the limit with this team. And now they just got a nail quarterback. All right, so this is the level boss. All right, so Kwesi's done fantastic work this offseason, but if you can't beat Bowser in his castle, what's the point of playing the game? All right, but I do have faith because the Vikings are perfectly situated. I trust the decision makers. I trust McCown and O'Connell and Kwesi, and I think that they're going to get this thing right. We needed to get this right. But that's it. Tan. Truce on this beautiful Thursday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol. Production value.